Welcome to Pretense of Justice News Update. We keep our pulse on legal issues. We are compassionate, informative, and driven. We advocate justice for all. We are Pretense of Justice. Let the justice begin.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. We're thrilled to be presenting this webinar entitled Court Watching Programs, Purpose and Progress. This panel is sponsored by the American Bar Association section on civil rights and social justice. It is one of many in a series of rapid response webinars. We're actively planning additional programming on a variety of issues, so please visit americanbar.org/CRSJ for updates on these programs. Some housekeeping. During today's program, we encourage you to ask questions of our panelists through Q&A, not the chat function. Please use Q&A. If you do not see the controls, ensure your screen is not idle, and I will be monitoring Q&A, and we will do our best to address your questions, time permitting. We'll be sharing a recording of this program with everyone who is registered so that you can share it widely with your networks. And I want to do a brief introduction to our speakers. First, Dr. Carmen Johnson, who is the director of Court Watch PG and the author of Pretense of Justice. Justin Hansford, who's a professor of law at Howard University Law School and the executive director of the Thurgood Marshall Civil Rights Center. And Sophia Barberini and Brenda Kalita, who are both assistant intern coordinators at the People's Vanguard of Davis. My name is Malia Brink. I'm senior policy attorney at the Decent Criminal Justice Reform Center at SMU Law School. I've also had the great pleasure of being a special advisor to the Criminal Justice Committee, the ABA section of Civil Rights and Social Justice, where I've served on a couple of the ABA's efforts at court watching. With that in mind, I'm going to invite Dr. Carmen Johnson to kick us off and tell us a little bit about Court Watch PG. Dr. Johnson?
Hello, everyone. I am so glad to be here to speak on Court Watch in Prince George's County. And I would like to start off saying that Court Watch PG was started by our executive director, Ms. Carmen Johnson, and I believe that was in about 2018. And I came on board February 4th, 2020, and now I'm the director of Court Watch Judicial Accountability for Prince George's County, Maryland. And I want to start off with the reason why Court Watch is so important, and every state, every county, every city should have a Court Watch, especially in America, is because a lot of things go wrong in the courtrooms, and the average person, especially if they've never been through the system, they have no idea what's wrong, what's right. They look at law series on TV, those shows that come on TV, but a lot of times it doesn't quite go like that. And so we depend on our attorneys to assist us and help us. And so, of course, they are always, representing cases. So they don't remember or understand that this person sitting in front of me don't know what I'm talking about. So it's very important that the community get involved with court watching. And I strongly suggest that you create one in your area. I want to talk a little bit about Court Watch PG. Like I said, I came on board in 2020, February. And since then, I've sat in over 5,700 bond review hearings, including with my other court watchers. And we have trained over 550 people to be court watchers, including law students and law clinics. So when we say law students, like a lot of times, a student will come in individually, and then sometimes we'll get a law clinic to come in, just to make it clear for you guys. And then as of right now, we have about 60 volunteers that are active. And with these 60 volunteers, probably about 30 of them, they sit on committees. And I just want to name a couple of committees that we have, which are very important to have when you have a court watch organization. And so, like I said, we have 10 committees. We have the National Court Watch Hub, which that started, that was around November, December 2020. And we have about 30 court watch organizations that is part of this hub. including over in the UK. So we got one over in the UK, and then we got someone from New Mexico that wants to start a court watch. So we are excited about that. We have the accountability committee, and I'll come back to that in a minute. We have the social media and website committee, which is very important to have so you can keep the public abreast on what's happening in the courtrooms and in real time. We have the base building committee, which is very important, which means building relationships with other organizations, strong allies, law students, relationships with elected officials. That's really a big one. You must have your relationships with these elected officials, and also have great relationships with defense attorneys. And that's very, very important. And that's one of the things that Life After Release, which, you know, Court Watch is a pillar of, have strong relationships with attorneys all over the state of Maryland. And that's a beautiful thing. We have a newsletter committee. We have orientation and training committee. We have a database committee, which keeps our data safe. That committee also makes sure the data is correct and entered in properly and things of that nature. We have the Deaths in the Jail committee. We have an administrative and research committee, which is really important because you want to make sure you're staying up to speed on the different laws and policies and procedures that are out there. And we have the recommendation for draft legislation and policy change committee, which is one of our most powerful committees because we have to demand change. So with the data that we collect on a daily basis, what do we do with the data? Do we just let it sit there? We have to be able to make change with it. And a lot of small court watch organizations, they don't know what to do with the data. And so, you know, my favorite words are, you make noise with the data. That's what you do. You make noise with it. You make change with it. And I just want to just say on a personal note, the reason why I became involved with Court Watch is because, you know, I wrote a book called The Pretense of Justice, and it talked about the injustice that I experienced going through the system from the first raid. You heard me say first raid, all the way to, you know, going back and forth to court, not understanding what these attorneys were talking about, and just going back and forth, not trying to research, and, you know, wasn't prepared or ready, wasn't in the right frame of mind to even comprehend what they were saying. And a lot of people don't understand when you're going through that system, when you're going through that maze, you are so discombobulated and you'll never be the same again. You know, whether you win or you lose, you'll never be the same again. And so for me, I always tell people that if there was a Life After Release, if there was, you know, Court Watch in Prince George's County, Maryland, I know I would not have gotten the outcome that I've gotten because it was so much horrible things that went on. However, I survived it. I do not want anyone else to go through what I've been through. And I was absolutely scared to death when Kiana first came and asked me would I be part of Court Watch, and I'm like, heck no, like, oh no. And she kept staying on me and kept asking me, and then finally I said yeah, and it absolutely changed my life. And so especially when you think about, you know, Black and Brown communities, we need to be prepared. Like, we already know that the numbers are high in terms of arrests, in terms of incarceration. We talked about that thing called mass incarceration. Like, we should be teaching our babies, our little kids about, you know, court watching, about law. Like, you know, when I was a little girl, you know, my mother, you know, read the Bible to us. You know, she did our homework, helped us with our homework, you know, but the thing was missing was law. But then my parents never expected any of their kids to be faced with this injustice system. And that's exactly what happened. So, you know, now, you know, what we do is we equipped and we prepare the community for what could possibly happen. And we've saved so many families, so many loved ones from going behind the wall. We talking about prison camps, cages, jails, prisons. We saved so many people just by being a court watcher. Thank you.
What a wonderful introduction to Court Watch.